I think it's safe to say that Aaron Rodgers may be playing his last game in the NFL. I think
Whoa.
it's safe to say that. I'm going to go on record and say Aaron Rodgers may be playing his last game in the NFL.
Well, it's week 18 in the National Football League, and as you would expect, it is going down to the wire all the way to game 272. Saturday night, both of the doubleheader games matter. Sunday night, the season finale for all of it.
Yeah.
This is Flutie versus Stegall, your head-to-head weekly NFL picks and analysis show. I'm your host, Arash Madani. That is Milt Stegall, who was so sure Philly would beat Buffalo last week. He said he jumped through a table if the Bills won. And Milt, your tailbone is thankful for Josh Allen missing Shakir on the 2-point convert.
Man, thank God this old tailbone wouldn't have lasted. So it was a good new year and happy new year to all because those Eagles got it done. It wasn't pretty, but like I always say, there's no such thing as an ugly win or a pretty loss. It's you lose or you win, and those Eagles, they won the game somehow.
I don't know how that happened.
That's Doug Flutie. Go ahead.
Whole second half. The Bills had no points on the board the whole first half. It was ridiculous. Philly was giving it to them, and then Philly just disappeared and said, let's hope we win. You can't rely on Josh missing that throw too many times, but even if he hits the throw, Milt still wins his bet because he had the 2-point spread. So he was good. I was praying for overtime and hoping for a field goal later.
Yeah, and the way that game was going, you wondered, is McDermott going to go for 2? Is he going to kick for 1? The analytics say go for 2. Philly ends up winning. And every week, Doug and Milt share their top picks. We also talk about NFL storylines. The guys share their locker room stories. But fellas, I got to tell you, here we are on the eve of week 18, and you are deadlocked, head-to-head on your picks. Identical records of 29 and 19.
That's crazy. I don't know. I don't know how that works out that way. That's awesome. Going down the wire. I was going to just match all of Milt's picks this week and say we're tied. Instead, we're going complete opposites. We're going, it's going to be somebody's going to win by 2 or 3 games here.
As they say, the script writers, they've done their job. They've done their job.
They wouldn't believe this script. They wouldn't believe it. Hollywood wouldn't buy it.
Yeah, they didn't share the script with me, but I do know we're going to get to the picks in just a little while. But first, look, 3 games. The stakes are massive this week. In 2 of them, in the Pittsburgh-Baltimore game, win, you're in, lose and go home. San Fran, Seattle, if you win, you get the bye, home field throughout. In Tampa, Carolina, it's the NFC South, so it's a jumbled mess as we'd expect it to be. But fellas, like when it's all on the line, take us into the buildings right now. Is it nerves? Is it excitement? Is it anxiousness? Is it business as usual? Doug, what's it like in that building right now?
I think you're a little more excited than usual because the light at the end of the tunnel is here. It's like It's already playoff time. We're into the playoffs. We can position ourselves here. This is a big game. This is like a playoff game because it's positioning and all that. So there is more intensity, more enthusiasm, all that going on. The key for me was always your preparation and locking into your routine and doing the process. Try to block out the outside noise. If you just stay and work hard and you're in the building and you're focused on what you're supposed to be focused, that stuff disappears. And then the confidence comes from your preparation. Once you know you're prepared for the game, say, okay, I can't wait for Sunday to get here.
Well, I know one player who's very, very, very nervous, and that's Sam Darnold. And I don't want to make light on what I'm about to make fun of because it's very real. It's something a lot of people go through. But Sam Darnold, PTSD. PT, post-traumatic Sam Darnold. That's what he's going to go through. Because you remember this time last year, he was in the same situation. He had an opportunity for his Minnesota Vikings to beat the Detroit Lions, and they would get the number 1 seed. He stunk it up, and then the wild card game, he stunk it up. And I guarantee you he's going to be asked about that, and he's thinking about that. But he has to find a way to overcome that because I don't think they'll win, but I think if the Seattle Seahawks win this game, they'll make it to the Super Bowl. But Sam Darnold, mentally, he has to find a way to overcome those demons from last year, because if not, he'll go through the same thing. They'll lose the game. They'll get to the wild card and they'll lose again. So I guarantee you that's what he's thinking about.
Milt got an advanced script from the script writers on how this is all going to unfold, Doug. I tell you what.
He's picked against Sam. By the way, he's picking against Sam this week. He doesn't believe that Sam's going to turn it up. But
no,
he's saying if he does turn it up, okay, it's on, because what you've seen from Sam all year is pretty impressive. Go ahead.
Yeah. Good news for Sam Darnold is that San Francisco's defense is beat up. They're without Warner. They're without Bosa, and of course their first-round rookie out of Georgia. All right, we've waited long enough. Our resident professor is here. He's got his whiteboard out. Not as many X's and O's, because the two best games of last week came down to the final snap of regulation. To get there in Buffalo, we saw a hook and ladder from the Bills to get them within striking distance for the touchdown. Then in Santa Clara, Sunday night, second to last play, the Bears were on the doorstep of scoring, and Ben Johnson called up the same. Philly didn't stop Buffalo. San Francisco's did. The 49ers say Diamador Lenore is fearless, and he wants all the smoke. And Doug, he showed it on the tackle to preserve the lead.
I'll tell you, the 4th and 10 play for Buffalo is what made that drive, and it was a hook and lateral play. What made it work, a couple of things. Number one, it was man coverage, which is different from the other game. In the Buffalo game, they went man-to-man coverage. So our slot fade happened there, we got from last week, running people off deep. He ran the hook on the outside, and the back who gets the pitch came from the opposite side and across. Now, this linebacker was blitzing. This linebacker was in coverage. But because he was blitzing, this linebacker's anticipating that the back wasn't going to get to release. He was going to have to block. So he was playing soft and deep and hoping to be a free player. So all of a sudden there was separation when he started to break on the back. Now the hook comes from the outside, corner breaks, ball's pitched, he's to the outside, gets the first down easily, off and running. But it came from the opposite side of the formation, it was man-to-man coverage, and everyone disappears. In the Chicago game, it was quarters coverage with a corner deep on that side of the field. So it was a soft zone coverage where everybody was eyeing the ball. Now, they were playing soft enough that this guy came in, got the catch inside, made the pitch, everything went well. But because it was zone coverage and soft and also in the red zone, you're not getting run off. Your eyes were on the ball, and they were acting up much more quickly, kept them out of the end zone, and went to the last play.
Yeah.
So, Milt, as you're the receiver there and you identify zone, like the Chicago-San Francisco game ends, what's your thought process there as the ball catcher or the player who's coming underneath to grab the lateral compared to what the coverage that Philly showed Buffalo?
Well, in the Chicago game, the guy who's receiving the pitch, what he has to understand it's a situation. They have no timeouts.
Right.
It's going to be a little bit different because, as Doug mentioned, they're in the red zone. So guys they're not backing up because they have the end zone to protect them. So you have to understand, once you catch that ball, if you don't think you can score, you need to get out of bounds. You have no timeouts. You have, I think it was less than 20 seconds. The clock is going. You need to get out of bounds if you don't think you can score. So they got lucky right there. As far as the game with the Buffalo, the most difficult position in that game was the guy who was actually catching the ball originally. Because you think about that game, there were so many passes that were dropped because of the rain, but the fact that he was able to catch that ball with his hands, control it, and pitch that ball was truly incredible. So it's both of those situations are difficult, but that 4th and 10 call by the Bills, that was one of the most amazing plays I've seen all year long, because they pulled that one out. He was able to catch the ball. They were able to be patient. He was able to pitch the ball and got the first down. It almost helped them win the game, but they didn't pull it out. So both of those plays are amazing when they're called, and when they work, they look pretty good.
Yeah, amazing, wasn't it? Joe Brady on 3rd and 10 throws a wide receiver screen for nothing. On 4th down, a hook and ladder to get the first down. Amazing how it works.
Yeah, the play call, the guts to call those plays in those situations. Hats off. I love it.
All right, let's get into this week's picks on Stegall versus Flutie. Well, it's the game, San Francisco, Seattle on Saturday night. And tell you what, Milt Stegall is like San Francisco's defensive back. He wants all the smoke.
All of it.
His picks this week are tied to the three big games. And let's start there at Levi Stadium. Saturday night, Milt, with the division, the 1 seed up for grabs. You're taking the Niners to do it.
Yeah, as I alluded to earlier, Sam Darnold's going to be seeing those ghosts from last year. And I know the 49ers, their defense is not the best. They can't get after the quarterback. But that offense with Purdy and McCaffrey, who, in my opinion, man, he is lights out. Besides Bijan Robertson, he is that guy. He makes it happen. And Purdy's confidence right now is skyrocketing. Every time he steps on the field, every time he makes a play, he's getting better and better mentally. And you can see that. So, yes, they may give up 40 points, but they can go out there and score 45. And they win this game, and they have an opportunity to win 3 games at home and be the Super Bowl champion. So, for that reason, I'm going with the 49ers.
How about the play that now when Purdy started to play, it was more of a game manager type guy, right? They were looking at him.
Right.
He rolls to the left, hovers, hangs, splits 2 guys, moves over, flips it to the corner, walk in. Mahomes type stuff. It's been fun to watch him this year.
Purdy, by the way, guys, 23 total touchdowns this season. That's the most by any quarterback in NFL history with 8 or fewer starts in a year. Doug, it was on the bus ride out to the Meadowlands. The Patriots were watching the Bills lose to Philly. Then they get to the airport, and waiting for them there was a whole bunch of food and AFC East champion T-shirts and hats, and they did a team photo.
They weren't real happy with those shirts and hats. They didn't like the quality of it, but go ahead.
Like the quality. They're 11-point favorites again this week against Miami and Quinn Ewers. Doug, you're not buying the Rook. You expect New England to keep their foot on the gas like they did against
the scary part is Mike Vrabel learned under Belichick, and Belichick sat a lot of guys the last week. If it wasn't a really necessary game, you want these guys rested, good to go. And once we get past this week, everybody will forget about it, and it's playoff time. So probably has that mentality about Drake May at quarterback. But if you're not good enough to beat the Jets by 2 scores, you don't belong in the playoffs. So that's Milt reinforced that to me before we went on air, and I'm believing in it. And I'm staying with the teams that got me here. And I just think they're a polished football team, top to bottom, playing great football.
Let's get to another one. I don't know what to make of the NFC South, guys. I was trying to think of the right way to frame Tampa Bay, Carolina. So, worst records in the NFL since Week 10. Arizona and the Raiders are 0-8. The 1-7 team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are somehow still in the mix for a division title, and maybe even more unbelievably, Milt, they're favored by 2.5 to beat Carolina this week, and you want none of that. You're going with the Panthers.
Yeah, none of that. As you mentioned, these Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they started off 6-2. They were killing it. And 3 of those victories were against the 49ers, the Texans, and Seattle. But then after that bye, they just shut it down. They've won one of 8 games. It's been bad. Baker Mayfield once was talked about as the MVP, and now it's not going to happen. And mentally, they're just done. Mentally, they're done because I don't think they're going to win this game. And they know even if they win this game, if Atlanta beats the Saints, Carolina is in. That's how wacky the NFC South is. They just need to just get rid of them. None of those teams need to go to the playoffs, but it's going to be Carolina regardless.
The division's going to get relegated.
It's going to be relegated. That's like they do in soccer. Just
down to the
take
JV.
them down. Yes.
I don't know what UFL team would come up, but I'll tell you this. Carolina's going in this game with Bryce Young quarterback. Against Seattle, 24 pass attempts, 54 passing yards.
Yeah.
This, the posted total, by the way, for this game, Carolina-Tampa, is 44 points, not yards. I just don't know how this thing gets to 44 with these two offenses stinking it out. Speaking of that, we mentioned the Cardinals, Doug, being hopeless the last couple of months. Matthew Stafford and company, they get Arizona coming to town. The Rams are a 9.5-point favorite. The LA offense really took a while to get going. But, Doug, the U-Hauls in Glendale have been packed for weeks now, and you like the Rams in this spot. What does Sean McVay need to tighten up to get this offense going here, getting into the playoffs?
I think the number one thing they need to do is stay aggressive in the beginning. I mean, it just I don't know that they need to defensively letting up points, things like that. They ran the ball well last night. I ignored the first half because I fell asleep. I woke up in the second half. They were the Rams. I'm like, what the heck is going on here? I love their offense. I love, and we go back to talk about Bryce Young. You talk some of these athletic quarterbacks that go through a half that they can't complete a pass. The Rams offense is a traditional downfield passing game. They are explosive. They are never out of the game. I go to last night when they need a field goal with 20 seconds to go. They took 3 different shots down the field, and all of them had a chance. All of them, potential interference, ball on the hands, a bad throw that went over a potential touchdown. They have the scheme, the offensive passing game that scares the living daylights out of all these DBs that are used to sitting flat-footed now and coming up and tackling on RPO game and coming up and tackling on wide receiver screens. You can't do that stuff to the Rams. Rams are going to let the ball fly. Their special teams have tightened up. They had the blocked field goal for a touchdown last night. So that's the type of stuff they're doing. They got to get off to a fast start. If they're off to a fast start, they did it to Arizona last time. They just light up the scoreboard.
Yeah, Jared Verse may be the most dynamic machine defensive player in football. He's a one-man wrecking crew on that Rams defense and special teams. Doug, look, a shout out to your Bills Mafia over there in Western New York. Like what they tailgated through and sat through, like the rain was coming down sideways. It was windy. It was wet. It was miserable. And they didn't flinch for hours. They were a factor late in the game. And now comes their payoff. Buffalo is home to the Jets. Aaron Glenn was questioning his team's effort last Sunday. And you're all over the Bills to continue rolling against New York.
Yeah, I think that Josh Allen will get the start, hand the ball off a few times, do it, and get off the field.
Get him out of there.
He needs to rest up, be healthy. He needs to be 100% healthy for playoffs. And that's their primary goal out of this game. The weather the other night, that is the worst possible conditions when it's cold, but it's not snowing yet. It's mid-30s and it's rain, not snow. It's horrible. And it's miserable to play in. And they gutted it out. I mean, it obviously affected a lot of things. I still think the first fumble that Josh had was an incomplete. I thought the arm was coming forward and it could have been an incomplete pass. Those things happen in bad weather, and they just kept fighting, and they dominated that second half. Bills Mafia was out. I think they'll come to play. If it's Trubisky at quarterback, it is, and they should still come out ahead. You can't win these games with your number twos. You're not a playoff team.
Well, and it's the Jets.
Yes. I mean, the Jets.
It's the Jets. We bet. What's a golden rule? Bet against the Jets.
This may be my favorite stat of the NFL season, guys. Garrett Wilson leads the Jets in receiving yards. His last catch came on October the 12th. October the 12th, their leading receiver. Not good.
You know the pregame speech for the Jets is going to be? Do you guys want an aisle or a window? Because you're going home after this game.
What was the Nick Van Exel line?
Guys, carry your own bags, pack your own bags today. You're done.
Nick Van Exel with the Lakers brought the team together. 3, 2, 1, Cancun. All right, Mr. Stegall. Someone's going to Cancun after Sunday night. Game 272. I tell you what, the fortunes, the futures, directions of two franchises hang in the balance here. That's all that's riding on Ravens v. Steelers. Also a division title and a home playoff game. Baltimore is a 3.5-point favorite in Pittsburgh. And oh my, Milt Stegall going with the Ravens on Sunday night.
Yeah. And I think Mike Tomlin may have suffered one of the worst losses in his tenure as a head coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers. You lost to the lonely Cleveland Browns That mentally destroys you. So I believe Baltimore, with or without Lamar Jackson, I've seen enough out of Huntley to say they can beat them with him. He's good enough. And then you got King Henry running the ball, and that defense is okay. So I think it's safe to say that Aaron Rodgers may be playing his last game in the NFL. I think
Whoa.
it's safe to say that. I'm going to go on record and say Aaron Rodgers may be playing his last game in the NFL.
Here's what's wild, guys, about this game. And we'll wrap up the picks in just a moment. Like, what happens in Baltimore and Pittsburgh this offseason when one of them loses Sunday? Like you mentioned Tomlin, Milt. I mean, John Harbaugh right there is one of the longest tenured coaches in the league. There's been stability in both those places forever. If Baltimore loses, what's the future of Lamar there? What's the future of the coaches? How, Cam Hayward? Like, what now for either of these teams if they lose? Like, this could be a catastrophic loss for the direction in which we've known these organizations over the last few years.
I think coaching-wise, you stay put. I think coaching-wise, if you've got a consistent record through the years, I mean, all of a sudden you don't forget how to coach. I hate when teams have a down year and all of a sudden they get rid of a coach. It's like before you fire him, you better have somebody better than him to replace him, and not flipping a coin and not guessing. That the guys don't forget how to coach. Sometimes the enthusiasm wanes in later years and things like that. The quarterback situations are a little different.
Yep.
When Lamar is completely healthy, he needs to use his legs to be effective. He's not going to be just standing there in the pocket. Aaron Rodgers' age could be a factor, as Milt pointed out. Is it time? And then unretired 49 years old to come back for 3 weeks like Phillip, but that's very questionable because I've seen it this year with him, the lack of enthusiasm at times. Now, he had a smile on his face the last couple of weeks or a couple of weeks ago. I got excited and it was like, that was a good sign for me. But yes, I think Milt may be right.
All right, so let's sum up the picks. Saturday night's doubleheader. Milt likes Carolina to win the NFC South as the underdog. Well, win the game anyway. We'll see how the NFC South plays out. For San Francisco to get the NFC's number 1 seed with a win over Seattle, and for the Ravens to become AFC North champions on Sunday night, covering 3.5 in Pittsburgh. Doug knows the AFC East. He's taking the favorites. New England to handle Miami by double digits. Buffalo to roll the Jets by a touchdown. And the Rams to beat up on Arizona by 9.5. Week 18 is going to be great. All right, so let's get to it. Monday night, Rams-Falcons. We get the athletes are bigger, stronger, faster. It becomes a really difficult league to officiate the rest. They tried to bring in pass interference reviews a few years ago. Then it got so ticky-tack. But there's a lot on the line in this football game. 27-24, it's the final 10, 12 seconds. And Matthew Stafford airs it out to Tutu Atwell. D. Alford's hand grabbed on to Atwell's arm.
Mm-hmm.
No flag. Now, you two both see this play differently, and it's interesting. Right. Quarterback and receiver, one actually says, well, maybe the defender wasn't at fault here. Joe Buck and Scott Van Pelt were talking about, hey, that just robbed Matthew Stafford of the MVP. How do you see this play called? How do you see this play unfolding? Should it have been PI or not? Milt, why don't we start with you and take it from there, fellas?
Yeah, no. I think they got it right. The thing that stood out to me about that play was the receiver. He initiated the tugging, and that tugging goes on more so than what people realize. And what happens is when they slow it down, that changes everything. When you slow down the play, you could probably call PI 90% of the time when it's in slow motion. But when things are in real time, you don't see that. And you have to allow the DB some leeway. You have to allow him to, and they allow this, majority of the time, some tugging and some pulling, just like they allow the receiver some pushing and tugging. So the right call, in my opinion, was call on that play. I know some people may disagree, but as I alluded to, when you slow down the play, it just magnifies it and you can see everything. But in fast motion, when things are going at game time, at real time, you just don't see that. So I think they made the right call.
See, I go the other direction because I think what happens is over time we've allowed more and more physical contact. If you, I reference the NBA, you could call foul all the time. But if you go by the rule, he bumped him, he hit him, he pushed. But now they allow the forearm. It's like going down the field. They actually teach defensive backs now. When the guy reaches for the ball with two hands, grab the inside arm and pull it down. But turn your head and look for the ball when you're doing it. So if you turn your head and pull the arm down, they're not going to call it. But you're still pulling. If I'm a receiver if I'm a receiver reaching for the ball with two hands, and all of a sudden I only have one hand, that affects the plays. A lot of times the officials decide in their mind, did it really affect his ability to catch the ball? And then they say, no, it didn't. I'm not calling anything. I've always been a guy that it's either interference or it's not. It's by the book. So that's always the way I viewed it. I remember getting very frustrated as an announcer watching all these plays because of the hand fighting that goes on. If they would call the darn hand fighting, it would stop. And then you're running down the field. But because they don't call it, and I said it earlier, you go back to basketball days with John Thompson in Georgetown, he had his guys beating the heck out of people, and they became the best defensive basketball team in the country because they would just foul all the time, and they can't call it all. And that's what's going on, especially in the offensive line, and now with wide receivers and DBs. They can't call it all.
So we know the Rams are in. They're going to be an intriguing team to watch. They're going to have to go on the road and face either Philly or Chicago, it looks like. Ooh. Hostile environment, bad weather, all of it. But I got to tell you guys, I don't know what to say about Philly anymore. Like they're the defending Super Bowl champs. They're 11-5. Only the Niners have a better record in the NFC, within the conference. They've won their last three. They've withstood major injuries to their offensive line. And yet you watch them Sunday in Buffalo, 0 second half passing yards from Jalen Hurts. They nearly blew a 2-score lead in the final 5 minutes, but a win.
I could have come back. I could come back at 60 years old and get 0 yards passing in the second half. Go ahead, Milt. This is your team.
And you know what? That's the second game this season where they had 0 completions in the second half and they won. They also did it against Tampa Bay. So I said this earlier. There's no such thing as an ugly win or a pretty loss. You win or you lose, and this team just finds ways to win. This is the 4th year in a row where they had 11+ victories. So it doesn't matter how it looks, how they get it done, the stat sheets. They're getting it done. They're getting it done. There's no almost. That's like saying I'm almost pregnant. That doesn't exist. That doesn't exist. You're winning or you're not, and they're winning. So I'm sure the head coach is not concerned with that. I'm sure the players aren't concerned with that. It's all about what happens when you get into the playoffs, and they're in the playoffs once again, and let's see what happens. So 11 victories, possibly 12. It doesn't matter. This team continues to win.
I had a run in the 1980s with New England where I was young. They were afraid to let me throw the ball a lot. We ran the ball well. I ran naked bootlegs, but because of my athleticism, it kept people home, and we ran the ball great. And it kept us in game. We won a bunch of games with under 100 yards passing, which is my point here, in that there's different ways to get it done. I thought this was ugly from the beginning of the year on. I didn't like the passing game. I'm scratching my head. A.J. Brown's he needs the ball, and I just don't know that it'll hold up. They won the damn Super Bowl, but I can't see this holding up.
Here's what's interesting. They won that game against Kansas City in the Super Bowl last year with their defense. And there may not be a more impactful point of attack player in the NFL.
Oh, my goodness.
Jalen Carter.
Oh, my goodness.
This dude comes back from surgery on both shoulders, missed only 3 games, and just disrupted everything. Look, the Eagles won the Super Bowl last year because of their defense. You got Carter, you got Quinion, you got Blankenship, you got Cooper DeJean. Maybe it's their defense.
You got Dean. Yes. Yes.
That's going to do it.
Yep.
All right, let's wrap the picks one more time. Saturday night, Milt likes Carolina to knock off Tampa as the underdog, for San Francisco to win over Seattle, and for the Ravens to cover 3.5 in Pittsburgh to be AFC North champions. Doug's all over the AFC East. New England to roll Miami by double digits. Buffalo to beat the Jets by a touchdown, and for the Rams to beat Arizona by 9.5. Fellas, we are about to flip the calendar to 2026.
Yes.
Now, if and when Milt wins this thing, because I love all Milt's picks.
Okay, because you're tied right now.
All right, we go 0-0 next week because we start playoffs, and this is all. We don't have a chance. We got about 30 seconds to gloat about it, Milt, that we've worked hard all year, and all of a sudden it's 0-0 again, and we're heading to the playoffs.
Let me throw this one at you to wrap. We've done this all year. We've talked throughout the season that there hasn't really been a dominant team.
Nope.
Is there a squad right now going into the postseason that you should be worried about? This is a team I don't want to face in the playoffs. Does that even exist right now in the NFL?
Patriots are playing great football, but they're a little bit untested against big time teams. The team that I jumped on the bandwagon late in the year and think is extremely explosive are the Rams. I think they're going to score points against anybody, anytime. I know they got beat last night, but they're the team that I would not want to play.
I said this earlier in the year, the Houston Texans, and I'm going to continue riding that horse, the Houston Texans, and I need C.J. Stroud just to play a little bit more consistent. And if he can do that, they have a great chance of not just winning playoff games, but making it to the Super Bowl because of that defense. People always say defense wins championships. I disagree with that, but they may have a defense where they can win a championship if C.J. Stroud can play some consistent football. So that's the team I don't want to see.
Yeah, Stroud got a new offensive coordinator this year. It took him a few games to get going from 0-3 to one of the threats in the AFC. Gentlemen, Happy New Year. Happy Week 18. It's going to be awesome. 3 huge games. This has been Flutie versus Stegall. The guys are tied head-to-head. It's all on the line here in the final week of this season.